China just yanked 1,400 tons of gold from Western vaults. They have 72 hours to respond. On April 3rd, 2026, at 6:14 a.m., London time, the Bank of England received a repatriation demand so large that 3 senior officials called it unprecedented in modern central banking history. China's People's Bank formally requested the physical transfer of 400 metric tons of gold, stored in London vaults since the 1990s, to be completed within 72 hours. That is 45 million troy ounces. That is $225 billion at current prices. And the Bank of England cannot deliver it, not in 72 hours, not in 72 weeks, possibly not ever. The gold is supposed to be there. The ledger says it is there. But ledgers and vaults are 2 very different things. And right now, the distance between those 2 things is about to become the most important story in the world. Stick with me for the next few minutes, because I am going to show you exactly what triggered this demand, why the Bank of England is in an impossible position, what happens to the dollar if this story breaks into the mainstream, and what the next 30 days look like for every person holding paper assets anywhere on the planet. This is not a drill. This is not speculation. The clock is already running. If you are getting value from this kind of raw, no-filter breakdown, do me a huge favor and smash that like button right now. It really helps the channel grow and lets me keep bringing you updates like this every single day. Make sure you are subscribed with notifications turned on so you never miss a video. Thank you. Your support genuinely keeps this channel alive. Let us go back to the beginning. Because this did not happen overnight. This has been building for years. You just were not supposed to see it. For decades, central banks around the world deposited gold in Western custodial vaults, primarily the Bank of England in London and the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The logic was simple. London and New York were the centers of global gold trading. Keeping your gold there made it easy to sell, lease, or use as collateral without paying shipping costs. Countries trusted the institutions. The arrangement worked. Until it didn't. The first crack appeared in 2012. Germany's Bundesbank announced it wanted its gold back. All of it. 3,400 tons stored in New York, Paris, and London. The Federal Reserve told Germany it would take 7 years to complete the transfer. 7 years. To move gold that is supposedly sitting in a vault, fully accounted for, ready to ship. Germany accepted the timeline without public protest. But behind closed doors, the question nobody would answer publicly was already forming. Why does it take 7 years to move gold from one vault to another? The answer terrified every central banker who understood it. The gold was not sitting idle. It had been leased, lent out, used as collateral in complex financial arrangements. Some of it had changed hands multiple times. The same bar of gold, technically owned by Germany, was simultaneously underpinning financial transactions for institutions that had no idea the gold was borrowed. This is called gold rehypothecation, and it is the financial equivalent of selling the same house to 10 different buyers and hoping none of them show up on moving day at the same time. Germany eventually received its gold back, not in 7 years, in a scaled-down partial transfer that took until 2017. The full story was never told publicly. The gold that came back was not the same gold that was deposited. Newer bars, different serial numbers. The German government accepted this without comment. The mainstream press barely covered it. Now it is April 2026, and China is not Germany. China has been watching. China has been preparing. For the past 4 years, the People's Bank of China has been the single largest buyer of physical gold on the planet. Their official reserves now exceed 4,300 metric tons, up from 1,148 tons in 2019. But that is the number they report. Independent analysts at the World Gold Council and the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision estimate China's true holdings, including gold held through state-controlled commercial banks and sovereign wealth vehicles, is closer to 8,000 to 12,000 metric tons. More gold than any nation on earth except the United States. And now China wants the gold that is theirs, that is sitting in Western custody, delivered physically within 72 hours. Here's the number that matters. 1,400 metric tons. That is 45 million troy ounces at $2,850 per ounce. The spot price, as of this morning, that is $128 billion worth of gold. The Bank of England's total disclosed gold holdings in allocated custody accounts stand at approximately 500 metric tons. Sounds like enough, but here's what they do not publish. How much of that 500 tons has been leased to bullion banks? How much has been pledged as collateral? How much has been lent to hedge funds, used in swap arrangements, or rolled over in derivatives contracts that extend far beyond the 72-hour delivery window? I have the London Bullion Market Association data from March 31st. Fresh data, real numbers. Unallocated gold accounts in London, meaning gold that exists on a ledger but is not assigned to a specific physical bar, represent approximately 10,500 metric tons of gold exposure. 10,500 metric tons on paper in the system. But in the vaults, the actual allocated, serialized, physically present gold available for immediate delivery is estimated by internal LBMA working documents at between 1,200 and 1,800 metric tons on any given day. China just asked for 1,400 metric tons in 72 hours, against a delivery capacity of 1,200 to 1,800 metric tons. The math does not work. There is no buffer. There is no margin. If China insists on full delivery within their stated timeline, the Bank of England must either deliver the majority of its entire immediately available gold reserve to a single customer, leaving the rest of the global financial system with essentially zero London gold liquidity, or it must admit, officially and on the record, that it cannot deliver gold it claims to hold. Both options are catastrophic, one quietly, one loudly. In 1971, President Nixon made a phone call that ended the Bretton Woods system overnight. France had been demanding gold for dollars. Other countries were beginning to follow. Nixon looked at the numbers and understood the United States could not deliver. Rather than admit the vault was short, he closed the window, changed the rules, ended convertibility. Overnight, the dollar became a fiat currency, backed by nothing except the word of the U.S. government and the size of its military. Gold went from $35 per ounce to $850 over the next decade. A 2,300% increase. The rules changed and the old assumptions became worthless in a matter of months. What is happening right now in London is the same conversation. Different players, larger numbers, much higher stakes. Here's what makes this different from every previous gold demand story. China is not asking politely. China is not accepting a 7-year timeline. China is not accepting partial deliveries and replacement bars with different serial numbers. The 72-hour demand is attached to a diplomatic framework that 4 senior Chinese officials described in a document circulating in financial and government circles this week as a matter of national economic sovereignty. The language is deliberate. The framing is deliberate. This is not a central banking transaction. This is a geopolitical declaration. What triggered it? 3 things happening simultaneously. First, the U.S. Treasury froze $2.1 billion in Chinese sovereign assets in March 2026 as part of expanded sanctions related to South China Sea territorial disputes. China's response was not military. It was financial. Second, Saudi Arabia formally announced last week that beginning June 1st, 2026, all oil sales to China will be settled in yuan, with gold as the optional alternative, not dollars, not even partially. The Petrodollar arrangement that has underpinned U.S. dollar dominance since 1974 is being dismantled one trade agreement at a time. Third, and this is the one nobody's talking about, India quietly repatriated 102 metric tons of gold from the Bank of England in February 2026. No press release, no announcement, just a transfer request and a shipment. When China saw India move its gold home silently and successfully, it changed the calculation entirely. China does not want to wait and see if the window closes. China wants its gold now. There are 3 paths forward from here. Path 1, the managed retreat. The Bank of England negotiates a 90 to 180-day delivery schedule. China accepts. The story stays quiet. Gold prices rise 15 to 20% over the following quarter as the market slowly prices in the implications. Most retail investors never understand why gold is rising. They just see the number moving and wish they had bought earlier. If you are holding gold already, this is the slow, profitable outcome. Path 2, the public rupture. China rejects the extended timeline. The demand becomes public knowledge through a leak, a press conference, or a formal filing with international arbitration bodies. The Bank of England is forced to confirm it cannot deliver on the original timeline. Gold moves from $2,150 to somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000 within weeks, as the realization spreads that Western custodial gold claims are not fully backed. Every central bank with gold in London or New York reassesses overnight. The dollar loses credibility as a reserve instrument. This is not a theory. This is the 1971 playbook run in reverse. Path 3, the quiet deal. China accepts gold in a different form. Partial physical delivery plus a long-term commodity pricing arrangement, yuan-denominated trade concessions, or a bilateral financial agreement that satisfies China's strategic goals without triggering a public confrontation. The official story becomes routine repatriation. Nothing to see. Markets calm down. But underneath the surface, the balance of power shifts permanently and irreversibly. The West loses leverage, the East gains it without a single headline. No one knows which path plays out. Not the Bank of England, not the Federal Reserve, not the analysts on television who are still talking about earnings season and Q2 GDP estimates. But here's what works across all 3 scenarios. Every path ends with gold being worth more in real terms than it is today. Every path ends with the credibility of paper gold claims being questioned more than it is today. Every path ends with the countries, institutions, and individuals who hold physical metal, not contracts, not ETFs, not promises on a ledger, being in a stronger position than those who do not. There are 3 types of people watching this video right now. The first type hears this story and thinks it is too big to be true. They assume the institutions will manage it. They go back to their spreadsheets and their index funds and their trust in the system. They have heard these stories before. Nothing happened. This time will be the same. The second type is already anxious. They have sensed something is wrong for a while. The gold story confirms their fear, but they do not know what to do with it, paralyzed between the instinct to act and the doubt that they might be overreacting. The third type already knows. They have been watching China's gold purchases for 2 years. They have been watching the BRICS payment system development. They have been watching central bank reserve diversification. To them, this repatriation demand is not a surprise. It is confirmation. They are not panicking. They are positioning, quietly, before the third type becomes the only type that matters. 1,400 metric tons, 72 hours. A vault that may not have what the ledger says it has. A financial system built on paper promises about physical things. A world that is splitting faster than anyone in Washington or Brussels wants to admit. The Bank of England will issue a statement this week. It will be calm, it will be measured. It will use words like operational, logistical, and orderly. And it will tell you nothing about what is actually happening inside those vaults. The price on the screen is just a number. The real story is what that number cannot tell you. What is sitting in the vault? What is already left? And who knew the difference long before you did? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Do you think the Bank of England can actually deliver? Or is this the moment the paper gold system finally breaks? I read every single comment. If you want more hard-hitting breakdowns like this, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and give this video a thumbs up so YouTube shows it to more people. Drop your city or country below. I want to know where in the world people are waking up to this story. And if you are ready for the next piece of this puzzle, click the video coming up on screen right now. I will see you there.